and we are about to start this. I am about to start this program this evening, as usual. As usual, we do the show from Monday, or we try our best to do the show Mondays to Friday. And today is no other special day, although Portugal is playing. So we are here. I am here, and the show is about to begin. Good afternoon to all those who are listening to us in your vehicles on your way home. Our usual listeners and followers on YouTube in New York, Texas, and in particular Miami. Good afternoon to you all. Also, good afternoon to the owners and managers of this great radio station. And thanking you also for giving us this opportunity to share the news and empire this game for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Right, so it is nice to certainly be on the program this evening, although what some Trinis will call a very important game is playing this evening. I am kind of off the football scene, as most of you will know that I was a Brazil supporter, although persons, and for good reasons, would have been saying, you're supporting, but I'm not a bandwagonist. So I continue to support Brazil, and next World Cup I'll support Brazil again, and since I'm small, I support Brazil. So I'm not going to say that I am supporting another team because Brazil lost. The other teams I'd like to win, of course, and the other teams certainly I would like not to win the World Cup. But if only because of what they represent. But I remain a supporter of Brazil. I'm not going to follow that bandwagonist form to say which team I supported now and all that kind of madness. No, Brazil all the way. Still, next 4 years, still will be Brazil all the way. Right? So, good evening, and nice to be on the program with you today. Ronaldo, probably looking at Ronaldo because he did say he was going to be here this evening, but I didn't see him as yet. So, in the meanwhile, I will start without him. There are a number of things that really pique my interest in the news, especially over the weekend and today in particular. But I will try to see how much I can get through with some of them. I saw the Prime Minister and her diplomatic team has gone to the Caribbean Heads of Conference meeting. I think it's a special meeting in St. Lucia, I think it is. And we wish her well. I also saw that the Minister of Foreign Affairs is, asking for solidarity and understanding for the people of Venezuela. Certainly, what is happening or what has happened in Venezuela is something that we should pay particular attention to, and we should probably be very generous in assisting these people. These people have been through a lot, and God say, the Bible say God will give him more than he could bear. So maybe they could still bear what's happening, but they have been through a lot. And we saw what happened to Haiti when they got an earthquake similar to that, or not even similar to that, but hundreds of thousands of people died in Haiti. That is not necessarily the case in Venezuela. Venezuela is a more developed place. They were able, although the earthquake seemed to be, in terms of magnitude, a shallower earthquake and more shaken and that kind of thing, Venezuela was still really only suffer about 50,000 or so persons lost thus far, with just over 3,000 something confirmed dead. So we know the death toll will rise as time goes. It's hardly likely that you'll find much more persons alive unless you're trapped in some vacuum where you have some things, water and food and that kind of thing, and they could at least survive for some time. But more than likely, the death toll will go up astronomically as as the days go, as hours tick away, because I mean this earthquake would have happened quite some time now, and there's hardly the expectation of much life under those rubbles after that time period would have passed. So, to the people of Venezuela, I say, I agree with the minister when he said that we should show solidarity for them and give generously, whatever we could. If we know, if someone could call and tell us where we can do that and how, I too will be happy to donate whatever I can, because they are so close to us, and we had some effects also. I think in the area of I think, as if I'm not making a mistake, Caracas or somewhere down on that side, the beaches either rose or the outside of it dropped or something to that effect. But the thing is, we did have some kind of structural effects also, not significant and not much different from what would have happened in the past, but it actually reminds us how close we are to Venezuela and what could possibly happen. But more than that, this Venezuela issue really sends a message to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And when I heard the minister asking for solidarity and that kind of thing, and to honor to understand the position of the people in Venezuela and give generously, it reminds me that we are very close. And what happened in Venezuela, what happened in Haiti, what happened in all these places in the Caribbean, we sit in the same area as they are, and this could very well happen to us too. And I think we are more volatile in terms of survival than most of those places, especially Venezuela. Venezuela, for the most part, especially the part that the earthquake was most hard hit in, is way more developed than we are. So I just thought I should put that in, because that, to me, is very, very, very serious and important, and it's something that we should probably pay particular attention to in terms of assisting and trying to understand the position that the people of Venezuela have found themselves in repeatedly. That being said, there's a particular story that caught my eye, and that was the story of the young man that allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly because this is just what the aunt said. We don't know what happened. We don't know if he was actually part of the robbery, but a carjacking took place somewhere down Moruga or so, and this gentleman, this young man, 15 years old, he got in the vehicle with the driver and somebody else who they claimed to have been dropping somewhere. And not long after he got into the vehicle crashed and he died. He died in the accident. His aunt said something that is a bit of a cliche. You hear it all the time. But she said that friends carry you, but they don't often bring you back. And that's something that's a cliche you heard from your parents and your grandparents, and people say that all the time. But it is serious, and we don't know if, in fact, I am a critical kind of person. So I read what people say in the papers and that kind of thing with a pinch of salt, because it's not always what it is. The person who was driving the vehicle is not dead, so we are waiting to hear what was the real story with that sometime, or what was the real story from the person whose vehicle they stole, because it was a carjacking according to the newspapers. But nonetheless, a 15-year-old died, and he was not driving. He was in the front seat of the car, and they were going to drop somebody. I can't imagine somebody stealing a car, and for what reason was a carjacking. I don't know what they stole the car for. But usually when you get carjackers, you stole the car. The carjackers would have usually stole the car to do something, either to go and put on a robbery or to go and kill somebody or something like that. Ain't thief in no car to just drive about. So that's one of the things that made little or no sense to me in the story when they said that the driver came and picked up Aidan and they were going to drop somebody. That doesn't sound normal with carjack unless you're absolutely stupid. You steal a car, you jack a car from somebody, and you understand that police will be looking for the car or something like that. You had to be dumb. But anyway, the car was hijacked. They claim that the gentleman who died did not know. We don't know that. All those are things that were said. We don't know. And on this program, we look at things from a very analytical standpoint. So it is critical for me to, examine, if I'm looking at the story, to kind of like examine what could have possibly happened and, seek all the flaws in the argument. But the thing is, the newspapers, what was reported in the newspaper by his aunt, really, because his aunt was interviewed, I think, Nancy Molino, and she would have said what I said. She said that friends carry and they don't bring you back, and she talked about youths, knowing who your friends are. A lot of youths died. There was another one, by the way, who died over the weekend by accident, who took his uncle or dad's motorbike and crashed on the highway. A 15-year-old too, along with some other people who died over the weekend by accident. But I'm dealing particularly with, a kind of breaking down what would have happened with Aidan Batiste. Because from what I read in the newspapers, if you break it down clearer, it doesn't really make much sense, right? Somebody carjacked a vehicle, and the guy went by one of his supposed friends and tell them he going to drop one of the friends home, and they got in the vehicle. They were speeding, obviously, and they were wrong a lamppost. And Aidan, who was in the passenger seat in front, he died. What to me doesn't make much sense. I mean, the story and what the aunt had to say, and that kind of thing, that is what attracted me, because a lot of youths need to hear these things, and a lot of youth need to know who your friends are, and be careful what you do, who you go with, who you go out with, that kind of thing. And this is exactly it. So is it that Aidan didn't know who his friends or who his friend was? And is it that? Or is it that he knew and he was part of the whole, God rest his soul, but part of the whole carjacking? Or were they picked up to go and do something nefarious in relation to the accident? Because at the end of the day, as I would have said a little while ago, you don't thief a car, you don't carjack a car. I mean, it's one thing to thief a car and you feel you have more time where it's solely car, the person might be missing it, you take it for the night or whatever. But it's the next thing to carjack. That is where you actually remove the person who was in the car, or the owner of the car, or the occupier, the driver of the car. You remove them by some nefarious means, by gunpoint or something, and you take the car. When you do that, usually when that happens, and maybe the police could tell you that, when that happens, people don't do that just so. People don't do that just to take a car to keep it, or sometimes to scrap it, but they don't take a car to go and joyride and pick up the friends and lime and that kind of. You don't do that. You have to be a dumb clown to do something like that, right? Usually when that happens, they would usually do that. Yeah, they would usually do that to go and put on a walk or to kill somebody or something like that. That's where you see carjacking and things take place. So it is strange that happened. I wait to hear the driver is alive still, so I wait to hear what happens, what comes out of that. And but the whole moral of this whole story, to me, It's not even that, right? I really was interested in this story because parents need to start talking to their children, especially your boy children, to let them know, to put them on the right, set the record straight, put them in the right place. You ought to know where your children are. And there's a 15-year-old boy who obviously was in a vehicle, a stolen vehicle. We don't know if he was part of the crime or part of the alleged the crime that they were going to commit or whatever. I'm just saying. But he died. And the parents is now in grief. And the thing is, they appeared to know, they say that he was a good boy. You could check his school records. You could check all that. He was a good boy, which is good. But the moral of this whole thing is that parents really need to get a handle on the whereabouts, on knowing, understanding the whereabouts of where the kids are. Because this is serious. Too many young people are being killed or being introduced to criminal activities and that kind of thing because of the neglect, I should say, or because of the children upbringing, or because the right kind of morals and that kind of thing is not, I don't want to say implanted, but not given to their children in the way it should be given. Real parenting. I remember when I was young, I mean, you heard the cliche the aunt used, Nancy Molino used, and she said, sometimes your friends carry you, but they don't bring you back. I hear plenty of that kind of thing. I get licks for them thing. We were talking about the kind of cocktail you get when you were small. But all these things are real, right? And people who grew up in the time I grew up in, that is long time Trinidad, you know what a cocktail is. One. You also understand what you could do and what you can't do. And you know what you will get away with and what you wouldn't get away with. And that's certain things you're just not going to do. And in them days, the murder rate was like 10 and 11 and 12 and thing for the year. Now we peaking 600 and that kind of thing. And we still asking ourselves, what is we doing wrong? Well, it actually begins at home. And there's another cliche to that, right? Charity begins at home and ends abroad. So most of these things begins at home and it ends somewhere else. It ends in a cemetery. A lot of time with grief and tears and, things like I should have known, maybe I should have done things differently as a parent and that kind of thing. And that's something, those are things that really, people, we really need, Trinidad and Tobago, really need to get a hold of, because these things are really, really doing real injustice to our youth. And the thing is, we have to start talking to our children and letting them know not necessarily what's right, because I believe everybody knows what's right and wrong, but the importance of making the right choices, because it affects you down the road. It affects you long after you do whatever you do. With your record, with sometimes you get mean. So many things that happens, right? Your reputation, you suffer for life in terms of you can't get a good job. I mean, so many things happens if you really don't just talk to your children and guide them in the right way. So this story is a story that, and the other one with the gentle young man that stole the motorcycle and crashed. These stories are stories that should tell you as a parent that you need to get your house in order. And the story is sometimes different but similar for boy children and girl children, because there are other stories for girl children, right? And sometimes some people would say, well, for me, I could say that they are easier to deal with. You have less risk with girls sometimes, with boys, depending on where you're living and environment and how you bring up your children and that kind of thing. But to me, the risk is the same, right? Because the same things boys doing, girls do now. And girls are at risk with more, there are more dangerous things that girls are at risk with now in terms of, sometimes from school and that kind of thing. So you really have to talk to your children, talk to your sons, talk to your daughters, put them on the right track so that at the end of the day, you would not have the kind of problem. You wouldn't be experiencing the kind of grief and pain and that kind of thing, or you shouldn't be experiencing the kind of grief. I'm not saying that, some people talk, I've seen people who grew up in some of what you would call the best homes, the best situations, parents with everything, parents who go to the best schools and that kind of thing, and you still end up with problems that that ends in the same kind of things that people in certain communities and that kind of thing, you would think that they experience. So it's not, it's sometimes not even a product of your parents' experience and wealth and ability to do certain things. It has also to do with just sometimes the mind, another cliche that comes out of things. Sometimes people say you could make the child, but you can't make the mind, right? So that too is something that we have to come to terms with, because a lot of times some children get really, really good upbringing. They are exposed to the best parenting, the best situation around them, the best schooling and that kind of thing, and they still end up doing things that they still end up getting carried away with friends and that kind of thing. And while some may say it may have some psychological some psychology attached to that, sometimes people are just looking for, if they are home and they think that there are too much controls and that kind of thing, they might be just looking for exhaust, and they may just be looking for, and that's a psychological phenomenon. Sometimes we have to as parents have to come to terms with, sometimes you do things, you control not seeming to be exerting that kind of control. You know what I mean? Sometimes you really need to do it. I don't know if you need a school for parenting, but sometimes you don't have to beat your child. You don't necessarily have to do some of the evil things, or what you would consider evil things that parents of yesteryears probably would have done. But certainly you must know the triggers and the touch points and that kind of thing. Things you could do with your child, the things that your child likes the most. Sometimes you could take that away from them. They may want to go to graduation. You let them know that if you operate in a particular way, you're just not going to be going that. Or they want to go something that you could have some kind of control over, and you can certainly deprive them of that as a means of exerting that kind of control, of leading them down the right path in terms of discipline. So there are a number of things parents could do, but it is very, very, very important that we understand as parents that we have a role to play, and that role that I'm talking about is a role that we play that belongs to crime fighting and national security and everything. We have our part to play, and it really begins at home. Charity begins at home. All the nefarious activities and things, it begins at home for the most part, right? And if fathers are not around, or the right kind of supervision is not there in some cases, then you will have children being influenced by other children who might be stronger and who might have that stronger characteristic, that stronger willpower in school, or the boy that everybody like, or every boy that everybody follow, the girl that everybody following, and you want to be, because you don't feel secure in your space with your parents and everything. You looking for that kind of security outside. Your child looking for that kind of security outside. Your child looking for that kind of love and respect and that kind of thing. And therefore, they will sometimes do things or expose themselves to things that you didn't expect them to do. Although you might be feeling that you are giving them everything or doing everything that you need to do for and with them. Oftentimes, they get out and they do things that is very, very uncharacteristic, very, very unreal sometimes. You can't believe your child do that, right? But they do that because you wasn't paying certain attention, or you was doing too much of something, and less of some other things. So you had to love your children too. You had to show them love. You have to talk to them. You have to encourage them to do certain things, and you have to be real with them. Talk with them. Let them know that this and this will add to this. So you had to let them know that, hey, listen, you understand it too, and you understand what can happen if you don't. Most of us would have straddled between the highly technological era, digital and everything era, and the analog era, the era when everything was just strictly mechanical. And your children more than likely will be more than millennials, and the children I'm talking about, the 13-year-old, the 10-year-old, the 9-year-old, the 15-year-olds, and they would have only experienced one side of that. You understand certain things, you understand the complication of certain things, you understand why you would have done certain things as opposed to how difficult it was then, and I'm talking just about 25, 30 years ago, as opposed to now, right? How easy you have AI, you have all kind of things to make life so much easier. And their perspective is a lot different from, the way you see things as a parent. But you understand it better. And you understand the consequences to a large extent of not operating or doing the things in a particular way. See the kind of society we live in, you see the kind of things children are exposed to, and that you can't stop the social media, music, everything. It's just dangerous both for your boys and girls. Sometimes you listen to the music that they're listening to, and you even understanding what's going on, but you're only hearing one set of things which are really making no sense, right? But they love that. They love that like more than breakfast. They love that. So you have to understand the world that they are living in, what they are exposed to, and what more than likely will influence them in front of the upbringing and everything that you want to give to them, or that you want to expose to them. So you have to take control as a parent. And this story in particular establishes that. So we're going for a break. When we come back, we will continue with this discussion.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street. 919 FM.
When every hand start waving, it's KFC a craving. Extra crispy or spicy, it blazing. But don't get left back, you better run down the line and grab a KFC before it's full time. When the game start kick off, fingers get lick off. Dipping popcorn chicken in 3 kinds of sauce. But careful with your tackle, keep your hand out the box or hand your red card and point to the spot. Now you dip on, you dip on, you dip on, you dip. Get your hand in the action before a ball kick. Yes, you dip on, you dip on, you dip on, you dip. Somebody bring the KFC quick, I'm telling you. Get your hands on KFC's extra crispy or spicy popcorn chicken, starting at just $35. Or grab the winning combination: 3 pieces of chicken and 4 tenders for $79.95. KFC, it's finger licking good.
TechFlex TT Limited, the #1 computer store in Trinidad and Tobago, has all your tech needs. We have the latest computers, powerful MacBooks, and affordable Chromebooks for school and work, providing new and refurbished options to suit everyone's budget. Also, we carry a variety of printer options and ink solutions for your home and office needs. Need repairs done? Our experienced technicians can solve your tech problems. Visit us now at any of our 2 locations, Wilson Road, Scarborough, next to Royal Castle, or Penco Street, Montrose, Chagonas. Call 235-4919 for more info. TechFlex TT Limited. Affordable tech. Exceptional service.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday
from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM.
Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
When the first whistle blows, your instincts kick in. You grab the bucket, dip, tear, share, and crunch down for every finger-licking good play. KFC Popcorn Chicken is back in the game. So get your hands in the action with extra crispy or spicy popcorn chicken starting at just $35. Try it with our winning sauces and get your hands messy with the drip. Or get the winning combination, 3 pieces of chicken and 4 tenders for $79.95. To satisfy every craving during game time, it must be KFC.
Peace of God be multiplied unto you in the precious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is Redemption Hour, a gospel program where God will reveal His mind to you on how to live a fulfilled life and to please Him in all areas. Join Pastor Femi Afolabi, the National Overseer of Deeper Christian Life Ministry, Trinidad and Tobago, and other seasoned ministers for a time of divine encounter as they minister and pray for you every Saturday by 9 o'clock in the morning of this station, Street FM 91.9. Our church is Deeper Life Bible Church, number 1 Cochrane Street, opposite Tunapuna Police Station, Tunapuna. The times of our services are as follows: Sunday worship service, 9 a.m., Monday Bible study, 6 p.m., Thursday revival hour, 6 p.m. The Redemption Hour is a life-changing moment you cannot afford to miss. For special prayer or counseling, contact Pastor Femi Afolabi on 778-9933. God bless you as you listen to this program. Jesus is Lord.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes. Listeners, we are back. And those of you who were listening to us before the break, you heard what my first story was, and maybe you, if you wish, you can call in and comment. Those of you who are cricketers and are Portugal supporters, as I tell you, I ain't supporting nobody in this football again. Right? My team outside, and I ain't no bad maganess. Right? But those of you who are Portugal supporters, you may at this time you might be at the edge of your seat because Portugal is trailing 1-0. That might be another upset very soon. But we see how that goes. There's a lot more time. There are a lot of time to play still. And you see how that goes. Right? So, Yeah, so feel free to call me on 342-0081 or 466-5391. 466-5391. Call me, and then certainly you can call and engage me on the matter that I would have been talking about before the break, or any other matter. The Prime Minister is in St. Lucia, and clearly there are a lot of expectations coming out of that meeting. It may end in, we may see some explosion in that meeting, meaning that I know the Trinidad and Tobago government had some problems with the Secretary General and her appointment, the last appointment, and that is something that may be raised there. I don't know how the wider Caribbean see it, if they see it the same in the same way as Trinidad and Tobago, and maybe we can talk about that too. But certainly, I don't know, Trinidad and Tobago seem to be standing alone on this particular situation, this particular issue in terms of the Secretary General. Now, again, that is something we could discuss on this program. This program is for that. This is the third umpires, and of course, we would have heard what the opposition had to say about that a couple of months ago when the incident took place, right? Some people think that it is, especially in the opposition, we're making a mountain out of a molehill, and I want to hear what you have to say. I really would like to hear what you have to say. But today is International Fried Chicken Day. I don't know how many of you know that, right? And the KFC brings the celebration with an offer you can't miss. For today only, when you buy a new KFC onion ring chicken sandwich for just $34.95, you will get a free one piece. Double the chicken, double the satisfaction, but only for one day. Skip the wait and get exclusive early access when you order through the KFC app. You have a KFC app now, yes, people. Download the KFC app and order now. Show me your ring, must be KFC. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can go out and get your, just for today only, your onion ring chicken sandwich. Good evening, KFC.
Hey,
KFC is on the line. We know we're talking about KFC. KFC on the line. Good evening, KFC.
Talk about KFC, but I don't talk.
KFC, good evening.
I talk to the boss, Christian Mote. Yeah, you know, buddy?
Yeah. KFC, I hear you.
Was enough for me copy last night. There's advertising on this radio station, you know. And all over the area with Ice KFC, so I ain't get it for advertising. I'll change my name, man.
Yeah, that change the name or
we gotta get that. I'll change my name to Ching Chong.
That'll get some royalties for that name, boy.
Yeah.
Or you had to pay us something for
a big player going there again.
Or you had to pay us something for having us for us allowing you to call us. Because I saw KFC this pay.
KFC this pay?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean,
well, since I done this thing and I hear me KFC not start to out here, you know.
And today,
but I was saying, who's that man calling KFC? Well, I'm going to show somebody.
Today in particular, for today only, they have the all-new KFC onion ring chicken sandwich. That certainly is something that that you should go out and get one.
You don't like KFC. When you buy one, KFC, I don't like KFC. I don't Royal Castle, man.
When you buy KFC
Royal Castle.
$34.95.
Well, we will advertise it, but we don't have business here. I seen something on the WhatsApp there. You see it?
No, I didn't see it. What was it?
Check it out and see now.
Nah, talk to me. I ain't had time to read all that kind of thing. Tell me what it is.
No, they're really seeing what's going on. They're seeing what people. You know, it's 5 fortnight now.
Oh, well, I heard the minister.
Yeah,
I heard the, but I heard the minister.
My birthday, you know?
But I heard the minister spoke about that.
Friday coming up here, you know. Hush.
I said I heard the minister spoke about that particular situation, but she said it has nothing to do with them. I mean, it's the
minister
corporation
spoke about that situation. Well, she pay Port of Spain Corporation. I see that is fine and good.
Mm-hmm.
One of my colleagues, I make him call in the program and it's the government radio station.
What corporation?
And she said she will look into the matter Friday day. Because the last 2 weeks I all I hear, you know.
What corporation you fall under?
Sugar on us.
Yeah, use KFC, you know. I mean, you know everybody. Talk to the people now, man.
Yeah, man. Nobody. Me lie down on my belly. Nobody never make no call and nobody ever give me nothing. I go there and deal with the righteous person who hear my cry and give me the opportunity. I have 1,000 ministers numbers on my phone now and give me nothing easy.
What's the real problem? I mean,
so
what has happened, KFC?
So the real problem is right now, I need my money. So, I don't want my money to sleep out. Remember Rolly was saying that?
So you're saying that
I have bills to pay, school clothes, I'm not sure to see about. Right. They're eating like glutton.
Right. So you're saying you're working somewhere.
I only hear talk, you know.
So KFC, oh God, let me help you, man. Tell me where you're working and what is happening. Who's not paying you? What happened?
So like the upkeep program run under the Ministry of Local Government under Kiddy Shaman and them. They close down CPAP, they close down Rappi, they close down Furniture and they bring this program here.
Mm-hmm. And you get it?
And the last...
You working in the program?
I fall in the last batch. Eh?
You in the working in the... What's the name of the program?
Yes, I working with the program.
What's the name of the program?
The upkeep program.
Upkeep program, right?
Yeah, that would mean cutting grass, cleaning, draining, and all them side of the road and this and that and thing in there.
And how long now you working?
We're going in 3 months now. I mean, get a pay.
And you ain't get paid yet?
6 weeks now, you know. I tell you, four fortnight plus, you know.
Are you the only person that is working and that has been working and didn't get paid, or everybody?
It have plenty people didn't get paid. I carry a youth man down who was living down by me in my constituency down. He living now on this side there now. Yeah, let's have some youth.
If you're working 3 months, now,
up to now we ain't get paid too. Every minute he calling me.
Right. If you're working 3 months now, right, and you ain't get paid yet. After the first month, the second month, what you did? What has they been telling you? What have they been telling you as the reason why you haven't been paid?
Because talking, for the Father's Day weekend, they see me when I get paid, right? Do they bring check?
KFC.
You know they bring one check KFC. And give one work, right?
KFC. I looking for. I want to advertise your position. I'm just asking you a simple question. Yeah. What did they tell you as the reason why you haven't been paid?
Nobody give you no reason why.
So why still
I went on Kent also all kind of thing and they say they can't give you that information and this and that.
But KFC, then where you working? 3 months to say you're working. If you get paid the first month, the second month, and nobody tell you that, what you still doing there?
That I mean go out for 2-3 days.
Right. So what I'm asking you, what's the reason why I didn't get paid? I can't work somewhere for 2 months and I get paid and hungry and my train hungry and I could be doing something else. That ain't making no sense. You say 3 months.
You have to call the minister, use your platform and call the honorable minister Kiddy Shaman and ask you why.
But I heard the minister.
Use your powers, use your media to ask the hard questions. Why should they not pay the workers and them not paying? Certain workers getting paid and certain workers not getting paid.
I can't go and ask the minister things.
About 3 or 4 people and I can get paid back to back on top of my head, you know.
KFC.
And some clung and who on the radio station are trying to silence the next talk shows and say, but I come and complain about things over and over. I feel last night when I was camping on the radio station. And then I set up PNM talk shows and the radio station was going to crash.
KFC.
They like what I was saying.
KFC, I know you. KFC.
I make some contribution. I was judge.
KFC, I know you're venting, but don't
I eat a food hungry more people. I big man thing, you know.
KFC.
Because I'm a teacher to see about, but I have nothing about them and calling about and say when the pain and when the this and that.
KFC, I'll cut you off,
and talk.
You're not listening. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, man.
I'm trying to help you answer the question. You know what I just do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? You know what I do 99% of the day, right?
I know you're working.
Right. Me ain't working with no government. Right? But listen, let me tell you this.
Huh?
I might be able to help you, but you gotta help me to help you. Tell me what has happened. What did they tell you as to the reason why you're not getting paid? What did you do? Did you fulfill all the requirements to be able to get paid? It must have a reason why you're not getting paid.
I went and open bank and account. That's something I'm open a bank and account. I open a bank and account. I drop it to my foreman pass on to the supervisor. When I went down by me and my brother went down by Kent, I was down there. They tell me we are telling to the supervisor. The supervisor has come every morning, check to see the work going on. There's that. I see my foreman give them the account, everything about 2-3 weeks ago. And nothing happening.
KFC, you know what? I'll do what?
Because I seen workers and
KFC, let me give you my number, right? You're frustrating me.
Yeah.
I'll give you my number on air, right? You will text me and say this is KFC with your real name, and I will call the minister personally and I'll find out. I'll ask her about that. Tell me where you're working, what program you're working with.
The minister number personal. I send everything there. I call the minister.
KFC,
She not answer. I was answering me for the last 9 years plus. When I was out of office, I not turn that to them. I owe my money because I know they can victimize. They can't victimize me now because who jobless no man because I speaking out. So I was sending my number now.
KFC, do that for me, please.
I go on, man.
All right, take care. I know what to say. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about a number of things, and certainly you can call me on 342-0081 or 466-5391, and let's have a discussion on whatever topic you want to talk about, what area you want to go into. I started off talking about the gentleman that was killed in the accident in Library over the weekend, and that to me, that incident told me a little something about parenting and that kind of thing. And I said what I said, and I said it, right? You can call me on 342-0081 466-5391. I know a lot of you, I probably might just be talking to the radio because a lot of people watching football at this time. Portugal is playing, and the last time I looked at the game, they were down by 1. So I don't know if we are going to see another big side with a big player go offline probably in the next few minutes. But that is the nature of the game. This is the World Cup, and these things happen. A lot of disappointment. People cry and that kind of thing. I was supporting Brazil. I was really supporting Brazil. I still love Brazil. To me, since I was a little boy, looking at Brazil. Brazil was always a formidable team, they had some of the best players in the world. They were always that team you want to see. If you want to see football as an art, you want to see skills, you look at Brazil during World Cup. The best set of skills I've seen was with Brazil, and to some extent France too. France had some big players in the years gone by, France and Italy and all those kind of things. Socrates, Dr. Socrates, and some big players in Brazil also, right? Well, Pelé, one of the greatest footballer ever lived, was a Brazilian, and I from time to time I watch his story, and it's just really remarkable. The way he do things, the way he climbed, and he worked his way through the football world. But they are out. they wasn't looking so hot this season, this World Cup. I said that from the beginning. They usually start off very slow, but they wasn't looking all that hot. And they fell out of the race yesterday, right? A team send them home. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen today. We look to see how that game will go to the end. But for those who are listening, I started off talking about parenting, and to me that's still sometimes when we talk about crime in Trinidad and Tobago, we love to talk about the police. We love to talk about what the police not doing. We love to talk about crooked police officers. We love to talk about all of that. But we probably may have no need or little need for them. And they could do less crookedness if we do what we're supposed to do as parents. If we do what we're supposed to do as children. And if the system with parents and children and teachers and everybody works synergistically to solve this problem. Because I've always said one of the elements, major element of crime, of solving crime, is dealing with it from the hatchling, from babies, right? And it is not very difficult to understand that or see that, why we should do that. It starts there to a large extent. And we heard the mother of the young man who would have died in the accident. Not the mother, well, the mother too, but the aunt, who is Nancy Molino. She would have said something. She would have repeated a cliche, well known to most of us, friend, carry, but they don't bring him back. Well, they took him, and they certainly couldn't bring him back. At least they didn't bring him back alive. So that says something, that to some extent give life to that particular cliche, and that is something that we really need to understand. The importance of parenting, or the important role that parents and parenting play in crime fighting and solving crime and that kind of thing. And that is where I thought I wanted to go when I started my discourse on with respect to this story. It's critical that we understand. We know that children sometimes have special needs, and we also know, some time ago I was talking about a story, an editorial in the newspapers. I can't remember who it was written by, but it was written by a lady, I think it was a professor, who was talking about rationalizing between your own ambitions as a parent, as a mother. Because she was talking about single parent families and single parent structure. And sometimes rationalizing between your own ambitions and your own aspiration and parenting, doing what you're supposed to do as a parent, because it's a real thing. Children before was part of a village, and they were brought up by the village. So even if you had one parent, or you had parent working and that kind of thing, in those times you hardly had parent most of the time in the village, in the little area that you live. Most mothers are home in the day, and most fathers are out working and that kind of thing. But that was then. Now you have really competing ambitions and that kind of thing, and competing aspiration, because you want to be the best parent. You want to bring your child up in a certain kind of way, but you can't do it yourself. You had to work, and you had to work for plenty money too, because you had to pay the people who taking care of the child. If you want the best, you had to pay for them to go to the best schools. You have to pay for the best counseling, the best lessons, and all that kind of thing. And for you to be able to do that, you had to be working. So it's a kind of chicken and egg kind of situation. And what the author of that editorial was saying is that a lot of times parents have to try to rationalize between those aspirations and those personal ambitions, right? Career and that kind of thing. And parenting. And sometimes it is very, very difficult, especially when you are a single parent. So that is something that in some ways, in the grand scheme of things, contributes to the level of crime that we have today. And we saw it over the weekend, right? That a large extent contributes. When you do have that kind of control, when you can't see about your children and know where they are, when they are, or even instill that kind of values in them, sometimes bad things happen. And sometimes bad things happen not because you are a bad parent or not because you encouraged it anyway, but sometimes bad things happen because you weren't able to provide that kind of upbringing or that kind of values system. By the time you reach home, a lot of times your children sleeping and all that kind of thing, and that is a problem. Good evening, Caller. Caller, good evening. Good evening, Cynthia. How are you? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yes, good afternoon. I lost contact just now with the internet, so I didn't hear. Are you still on the parent talking about the children?
Yes, I am.
Oh, but I heard you were saying about long ago, you from children or we or whoever born grew up in a village, but village never stop. Everywhere you born is your village. Every community is that's what they call a village now.
True.
Because that's where you
the
grow
The
up.
only difference is that everybody in the village working now. Nobody looking at
Well, yes, I get into that. I'm talking about the village part. The part we mean, working or not working, right, is your mindset. Remember, it's your mentality. Because some of the people working, giving the children everything, and the children are more worthless than the little poor one, who the mother are not working, right? So it's a matter of your mindset, your mentality, and how you grow up your children. Because people have a way of saying they have to go to work now, so they can't. You could do what you want to do under any circumstances, yeah? Under any circumstances. So,
but what do you say to parents who, like single parents, mothers who have their own ambitions? They went to school, they get a degree, they have the masters, they have the thing, and then they decide to have a child, and then they now have to rationalize between, because how they work, they come home late sometimes, they leave early in the morning. They have to subjugate parenting to somebody else. And what do you say to those kind of parents or those kind of people?
Before you became a parent, remember, you don't get up and be a parent. You have 9 months and you have the thoughts before of how you become a pregnant or how you have children. You don't walk like a fowl, you just walk in the middle of the road and a child drop out of you. Okay? You remember I'm telling you, you have to have a mind. You just say rationalize. You have to have a mind. I am going to have a child. You are having a child. It takes 9 months. It's like dropping out. One day you have a child, the next you want to have a child, the next day you drop out of your guts. No. So you have to have a mindset why you're having a child. Even if you don't know, you have 9 months to figure out why, when, how, and what are you going to do, right? And do it.
But Cynthia,
you can't just say having a child.
Cynthia, that is utopia you're talking there, because most people, unless you're promoting abortion or something, most people sometimes don't even plan that, and sometimes it happens. And unless you abort the child, and you decide to bring the child, you have to know, as what you're saying, is plan for it. But most people didn't plan to be a single parent. Most people didn't plan to be.
Even if you do not plan for him, you have 9 months. If you say you didn't plan for this thing, right? And it appear, right? A child don't appear in a day. You have 9 months in which to single say, what am I going to do? Am I going to put up for adoption because I can't afford a child if you feel that's your way? Am I going to do so and so? There are avenues, even if it's so silly that you don't know what to do, you just appear pregnant, right? You remember, in Macau, everybody have 9 months
But
to
in the
prepare,
Cynthia,
to
in
think.
the absence of all of that, in the absence of adoption, abortion, all them things, you want to be a good parent. You want to have the child, and you want to take.
No. If you want to be a good parent, we have a good parent before. But I'm just telling you, when you say it's an utopia or whatever it is, I am telling you, people have minds, they have brains, and as much as you talk about the utopia, people have to think. Because you're going on the road to buy something, you know you're going to buy something, right? Even if you don't know and you appear and you just stand up in front of a place and you have to think, hey, I want A or B. You know, you have to think. What you're trying to tell me, people don't have brains?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that things happen in life, and some people end up single.
Yes,
not
I
long,
know
not not long after they had the child, and all the plans that they had. It sometimes they end up single because of death and all, right? And all the plans they had, it ends up in survival. I mean, it ends up with you rationalizing between that and survival. So you had to work as a woman.
Well, you have to survive. You have to survive.
Right. So, and how do you survive?
It comes down.
How do you survive? You had to work.
You thinking.
Right? So you are a mother with probably a master's degree. You have all these things. You have a child. I mean, it was planned, and then you end up single, and then now you have to rationalize between working and bringing up that child. That child is 5, 6, and you now thinking, well, should I homeschool? Should I? Because you're seeing what's going on outside
5,
there.
6.
Right?
Okay, but remember, you just said he's 5, 6. You remember 5 years. So what they wasn't thinking, when's the 1 month you should be thinking already? You say 5 or 6, you're now thinking. That's what I'm trying to say.
Do you feel that particular phenomena, that single parents phenomena, is one of the things that is and the inability to rationalize between career and aspirations and that kind of thing and work and bringing up your children? Do you think that is one of the things that is contributing to the rise in crime and criminal activity? Because, well, you would have heard about the story I talked about earlier on. The young man, Aiden Batiste, in somewhere down south, who would have lost his life in a vehicle that his friend came and picked him up in, which turned out to be a stolen vehicle. The vehicle was carjacked. The owner of the vehicle was carjacked, and the vehicle was taken, and there was, I don't know if it's a joyride or what, but the young man died in an accident, and which spiraled the story or this thought about single parenting or parenting and rationalizing between ambitions and the ability to take care of a child in a certain kind of way.
Now let me tell you something. Years ago, I always rely on listen to Morgan Job radio programs. Years and years ago. My children were brought up on that, right? What I'm trying and what fascinated me is one day, just how you were speaking, about this accident, and he was giving a story, and a lady called. So he was saying that is why you bring up your children with a brain. Yes, they have to be brilliant, with a brain, with a thought, a thinking, a certain thinking. And a lady rang, and she said, Mr. Morgan Job, could you tell me what age should I start to teach my child? Because he was telling them about how a child is to be brought into the world from birth, right, from birth. So she said, will you tell me how old could I educate my child? He said, how old is your child? She said, he's 5 going on 6. Morgan told, Ma'am, you're 6'5", going on 6 years too late. And she just shut up. Because that is a fact. That is a fact, whether poor, rich, whatever you are.
Correct.
From the time a child enter the world, from your womb, we are talking about the world and going by boys and friends. We talking about from the time a child exits your womb. He came to already prepared, learning how I think he came through to come to be born. It's because he was thinking good time to ready. Yes. That's why some people born earlier than other people. Yes. They are thinking in your womb.
You are 100%. You're 100% correct.
So you don't wait till right.
But
regardless of what you are saying, what position in life and whatever it is, when that child exits, and if you don't get that common sense or have that, sorry, it will just be a statistic. It will be just like the child.
But listen, but Cynthia, while you're correct, and we saying what is supposed to happen, and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. There are some uncomforting realities that we are faced with, and that is that a lot of people are single. Sometimes they are single not because they want to be single, right? Sometimes they are single because of death or man leave or whatever. They don't have a job, or they have a job that paying them minimum wage, or they have to live, and the problem is they now have to consider between getting a job to take care of that child or bringing that child up anyway, giving that child all our parenting nice thing what you and I talking about here. And that is the rationalization, that's the reality, that's the imperative that confronts a lot of people, because there are a lot of nobody makes a child and the child come in the world and don't want to see the best for the child. Most parents, most women, especially even those who might be suffering what we're talking about here, they want to see the best for the children, but they had to rationalize between that and survival too sometimes. So
that's what I'm trying to tell. Well, that's what I'm trying to enrust. What you are saying, right? In other words, we don't rationalize. They have to think. Put in the layman language. I'm a layman person. Thinking, they have to think. And once you're not thinking, you're dead. To me, so you have to think. So if your thinking is then go and gamble or whatever it is, you have to face up to reality. It's your thoughts. You have to get the sense, and then. Well, it could go into a lot of different things, but you have to think. The main thing, it comes down that you have to think. If you can't mind a child, there are things to do. There are things to do. I know some people with nobody in the family work, and they strive and they give the children education and all kinds of good education from nothing.
This is where I tell Trinidad and Tobago what are the things, because people want to know. It's survival. People want to know what are the things you could do, right? Because you know, my daughter came home one time and tell me what a boy tell her in school, and she say after freeness is something, right? You could make her guess what it is, right? Nobody giving you anything free these days, right? So tell me what are some of the things you could do as a single parent, as a single mother.
But there are a lot of free things to be given. You mightn't take it, but remember, as you said, nobody give you free. But why are you looking for free things? The land is free. Let me tell you something. The ocean is free. There are a lot of free things, darling. So listen to me. You go wait. You plant. I am just telling you, say what to do. I'm telling you what you could do. Why you always have to be looking to free things? Put your hand in the ground, dig up some ground, find some. You have to find. There are things that are free, and you will just not think again. Use your brain. I don't want to make this program into a program where I'm going to teach you to do. No. I don't want to stop up your program. Think. What I'm saying, think. You know what to do. If you only know a man or somebody had to give you free, or what you could get free, well, sorry if that's all the thinking you have. I see there are uneducated poor people who think and they survive and they say about the children, okay? It's just that we, as you said, when you want, I must want nice dress or nice, also nice, this or nice, that, and trying to get it to go to the nice man and nice. Well, you get yourself, but you see, then again, I don't want to be a program to be about that, right? I am just telling you, Mr. Madison, that you could think, you yourself could think, and you should be telling your daughter you could be whatever you want to be, with a stone, okay? Whatever you want to be, you can be. Properly, in the right way.
That is something I say all the time. Whatever you want to be, you could be.
Mm-hmm.
If you think, but everybody, listen, thinking is still legal, but people for whatever reason don't think, right?
Well, then that's what you said.
And as a result of that, they're not thinking. We have this society we have today. We have crime. We have all kind of things. So all the nice things you saying and I might be saying. As the people thinking, people still not thinking, and we
that's what I'm telling you.
As a result, we laden with crime, we laden with all kind of different things.
And that's another thing too, Madison. Another thing, people not taking time to sit still. Because this is a time of noise. You listen to what neighbors say, you say radio, you say this, and shut up. That's why I don't want to bring this program about what we should do. Sit down, think. You know what you want. You know you can do it. Sit down and think. Just close off the noise. Just stay in silence a little bit and say, hey, and tell yourself, I'm thinking about something. I feel I could do this. Bam, bam, bam. You understand? So it's all the noise and the talking. Have to hush. So I too should shut up. Have a good afternoon.
Have a good afternoon. Yeah, you too. Have a good evening. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks. You would have heard what the last caller said in relation to what we were talking about.
Finally. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, you would have heard what the last caller had to say in relation to what I was talking about. And one of the things that I get from her is that she's saying that there are so many other things that a person with the disposition for which I would have described having to bring up a child or children and having that being faced with that uncomfortable reality of being single parent and having to find a job or having to bring up a child, and it's either one or the two sometimes. Because for most of the we live in a different kind of society, far different from what it was in the 80s and that kind of thing. And what you now have is people, even if you get a menial job where you're getting minimum wage, and most of those jobs where you're working in a store, KFC, or wherever you're working is minimum wage you're working for. And that, to a large extent, can't really do anything. By the time you travel home and you buy food, you're in a position where you have to either get a next job or you have to do some long hours and that kind of thing. And that leads to other thing. And that other thing is that the reality that you're not going to see your kids any way you want to see them. You're not going to be able to socialize your children any way you need to socialize. And I'm talking about single parent family who don't really have anybody else to do it. And in most cases, even if you have somebody else around to do it, you have to pay them. And that reality, the reality of that is sometimes children not growing up with the kind of socialization that they need to grow up with, because it's no longer the village. And what happens is, and nobody could say this is, I try to be real here. I see it every day. I see it, the communities that I am in sometimes, and you see it, you know that these things are happening. People are really, really struggling. Some people really, even those who, some of them have a job that might be paying them just the minimum wage, they're struggling. And because of that, you have inflation, you have everything. Because of that, you now have less time and less opportunity to socialize your children or your kids in the way they should be socialized. Hence the reason sometimes you ask when you see like school have PTA meetings and that kind of thing, especially the government schools, you hardly see parents. You see a little bit of, you see just a handful of parents for the number of children in the school. You see just a handful of parents attending PTA meetings and that kind of thing, and that should tell you something. That will tell you the extent of the challenges some parents are faced with in relation to what I just said. And I would have advocated before on this very program where things like PTA meeting is concerned, because parents has to play a role in the school system too. Teachers don't see themselves as parents to your children, right? Most of the time they see themselves as they come to work, they come to do something. They have, if you're trying fighting, that's not their business. If you're trying unruly, that's not their business. To report it through the system, and it has been dealt with. What I am saying is that maybe even the government should have a role in dealing with this too, in either giving parents time off wherever you're working, just like they have and maybe you should put it in the IRA, the Industrial Relations Act, where parents are at least given at least 2 hours time off to attend PTA meetings as parents with children in schools and that kind of thing. I'm just saying that because that happened just once. To a large extent, PTA, when you talk PTA, PTA means Parent and Teachers Association. That is what it used to be called. Now you have Parent Association and you have Teachers Association. But even if you have Parent Association, with just the principle, you could give parents some kind of concession to be able to attend PTA meetings and that kind of thing. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon.
Yes, hey.
Vivian
Our
Johnson.
umpire, how are you, sir?
Oh, boy, pressure, boy. But I did. Yeah. And now I'm following the show. And
what going on with the game, boy?
No, I think I just heard like they lost. Portugal lost the game.
Yeah, I think Portugal. But from when I saw it a little while ago, it looked like Portugal looked like they was going to be going home.
Yeah, but I was watching the show, so I wasn't watching the game. Yeah.
Right.
I was watching the show.
But you, of all persons, you could relate to the story that the depiction that I would have given earlier on, and especially what I would have said in just before your call with PTA meetings and that kind of thing. But what is your what do you have to say in relation to parenting, in relation to parent having to rationalize between especially single parents, rationalize between a job to take care of the family and being home to give their children that kind of socialization, that kind of nurturing that is needed to prevent what would have happened over the weekend?
Yeah, well, obviously, with a 2-parent household with a good income coming in, a child will always have a better chance. Not that, there are very good single mothers out here, but in order to be a good parent, at the end of the day, you need to provide for your family.
Right, so you need to exactly, and this is what I'm saying. There was an article in the news, an editorial. I'm trying to remember who was the author of the editorial, but it was a newspaper editorial anyway. But in this editorial, it spoke about being able to rationalize between aspiration and ambitions and that kind of thing. Single parents, single mothers, and bringing up your child in the way this should be brought up. Because that is having debilitating effects on society and on crime and everything. And that, to a large extent, have its roots in what we're talking about here.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Now, you said something about the accident in Maruga, right? Where the aunt, there may be another side to the story. Now, I want you to also understand, in my mind, there's also another side to the story with a young boy, I think he was going TIC, who died on the bicycle, on the motorbike.
The one that died on the motorbike.
Because most motorbike people don't have, most of them do have insurance. Some of them don't have a license.
Yeah.
Rarely stop motorbikes. And some parents would believe that, my child is doing very well in school. He is a good child.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe give him a little leeway. Daddy buys a motorbike, but it's not really for daddy. You understand? No, I know you're laughing, but
Vivian, that's a dangerous story, boy. I mean...
No, it is a dangerous story, but if you have Madison, it has plenty youths driving.
Yeah,
Learn
that's
to
true.
drive 10, 11, 12, and driving on the road.
Yeah.
Driving on the road.
Mm-hmm,
They drive in their area.
Mm-hmm.
You find out the brother, the big brother, or the thing will allow them because he knows. My son learned to drive. I didn't know he could drive. One of my neighbors teaching him to drive from young.
I was teaching since when we used to be across by Tranquil. I used to be teaching my daughter to drive.
So a lot of people do it. And then after a while, you try to trust your children, but you're breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they go out there and you're seeing a precedent. So I wouldn't just say the Muruga might have been a lapse. I think that also, you want to be on the highway and
But the Muruga one, I say library, the Muruga one, to me, something adding up. I like to watch all the sides of a story. Something to me not really adding up. If it is only what the newspaper said, clearly as a parent you would want to.
Story,
Huh?
There could be another side to that story.
This is what I'm saying.
We don't know. No, we don't know who the car was open comma, closing comma.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know whose car it was.
No, what the newspaper said.
We also don't know how old was the boy who come to pick up the next young boy.
Well, right, but here what?
For example, let me get a scenario again. The boy who come to pick up is 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up the 15-year-old. When the accident happened, the person who lent the car say he lent the car,
Okay, I know that. Right. But here what? And I like that scenario. But here what? Here what the newspaper say. It was a carjacking. The newspaper said that it was a carjacking. And think about it. It had many different ways for you to take a car, right?
The newspaper was quoting the woman.
Right. It was quoting the woman. But what I'm saying...
The newspaper didn't quote the police.
Okay.
The newspaper didn't quote the person who the car was hijacked from.
Okay. Right. But
if I know I lent Jamal a car, and Jamal is 16 years old, and the accident, and they come by me, why go and tell them I lent Jamal a car? I can't tell them that.
No, you can't say that because you get a contributing manslaughter or something.
You understand? So until we know the age of the young boy who was driving, until we hear from who was hijacked, so-called hijacked.
Right.
Because
that is where I go in. That's where I'm going. And I did say that. I didn't have all the information, but I just going by what I read in the newspapers. And the newspapers doesn't get the backstory. But what I'm saying is, the gentleman who was driving, he's alive. He's hospitalized.
He's alive. So you have to find out how old he is.
So you'll get a story at some point in time. But think about, listen to where my argument was going. The fact is, when a car is so if a car is stolen, put your mind in the mind of a criminal. If you thief a car from somebody home in the night and you believe that they don't know the car was stolen, and maybe they'll find out in the morning when they get up or whatever, or steal a car from park on the side of the road or whatever, more than likely you'll thief that car to go and put on a robbery, or you might thief that car to thief the car for thiefing's sake, change the car or whatever, for parts or whatever. But which is different from if you carjack a car. Because if you carjack a car and you leave the person alive, obviously, within probably the next half an hour or so, the police will be looking for you. You wouldn't carjack that car to go and pick up somebody to go and joyride, or to pick up somebody to drop them home.
Okay, I assuming the car was hijacked.
That's assuming the car was carjacked.
That's assuming
what the car...
So if the car was not hijacked and it was lent to the person who was maybe underage, and the next young boy jumped in the car, he innocent.
Right, yes, exactly.
He's no longer, maybe they went to put on a robbery, or maybe he knew, he must know
Correct.
the boy might say, it is my uncle's car or whoever car, and he gone.
Correct,
So,
correct.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something, it have plenty of people, the thief car, and park up car down the road. They do it. No people do it.
They just do what?
Everybody say hijack. They will hijack your car to go down the road. They fed up walk. They think hijack your car and go down the road.
And park it by park it wherever. Yeah.
They, you know, you feel bad. You know, that's how the mentality with the youth are. And Trinidad is so bad now, because we've seen what's going on with the poverty, we've seen what's going on with a lot of joblessness.
I mean, this place getting just crazy.
Unless the government needs to step in and find ways to deal
and that's
with
what
these areas.
that's what I'm trying to deal with here. I mean, when I veer into like PTA and all that kind of thing and legislation to allow parents you will know what I'm talking about. Allow for parents to be able to attend PTA meeting and to be part of the trend life and that kind of thing. And if you legislate that, you put that in legislation that
same as the elections, you know.
Yes.
You have to
employers should give
you have to get your time off. To go on attend the PTA.
Attend PTA, you know? And that kind of. So you actually have that connection.
With pay.
Yeah, with pay. Right?
If it working,
you actually have that kind of connection because I mean the work-life situation is a dynamic thing. I mean, it's not just if you want me to be your best worker, you must be willing to give me time for the other socialization and the other part of my life.
Yeah.
For me to be a best worker. Yeah. And if I have to thief that, then I can't be a best worker. I wouldn't feel good about you.
Well, when you go to a CIC PTA or Fatima PTA or let's say a primary school.
Sometimes you just wonder if it's 3 parents a child.
Yeah.
Serious.
The place full.
The place
when
full.
You go to schools like Tranquility and Belmont
and Mokurapo and all them 15, kind of schools.
25 parents coming out. You know.
Correct. So, but big up to San Fernando. I think it's San Fernando West Central Secondary or something like that. They did very, very well in Cape. From what I've been reading, they had some of the tops in Cape, in the Caribbean. So I want to say big up to the parents and teachers of that particular school, that particular government secondary, for the success they had in the Cape exams recently. Yeah, Vivian.
Yeah. You know, so the government, that is a good point, you know. Make it legislate it that you have to give parents time off to go to PTA meetings.
Correct.
But they need to find some way to encourage when children seeing their parents in the schools, they know that they can't stick. But the parents will always know what's going on with them.
That's how I felt when I was a little boy, when I was going to school and I see my mother come in school to PTA meeting and thing. There's a different kind of respect you have for everything, for the whole system.
You know? So to the Minister of Education, please take note.
Yeah.
You know, and put that in a diary. Please.
Correct. These are active solutions, and we know it. With big schools like Tranquil and these kind of schools that you call there, when a PTA meeting, you will see like 20 parents, if so much, and them school are 900 and something students. It is a total at variance with what happens in the other schools. Yeah. But listen, Vivian, we're going for a break. When we come back, I want you to call back.
Okay, great.
Right?
Okay.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Join us. Strictly local radio show, blazing the best positive hits out of TT.
Hottest radio show.
Welcome. You are now locked in.
Every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m., blazing the very best in Trinbago music and more, sending the heartbeat of the Twin Islands straight to the world.
This service is a massive communication product that aims to provide a new media platform for local TT.
entrepreneurs.
You're now locked into one of the hottest radio shows. Send us your voice notes or call in live and rep your district. Whether you're in East, West, North, South, or Sweet Tobago, this is your show, your sound, your culture. Hottest radio show. Strictly local, hosted by the one and only DJ Flex 868. Don't miss it. Every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Only on the streets 91.9 FM. The vibes, the culture, the sound of Trinbago.
We blaze all the best in TT. Hashtag rep your district.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Those of you who are listening to us heard our story. We are on the final hour of today's program. This is the third umpires, and it's just one umpire here. I have our visiting umpire who is on the line often, and I want to also let you know that today is International Fried Chicken Day. It have all kind of days, but today is International Fried Chicken Day. And KFC is bringing the celebration with an offer you can't miss. For today only, when you buy the all-new KFC onion ring chicken sandwich for just $34.95, you will get a free one piece. Double the chicken, double the satisfaction, but only for one day. Skip the wait and get exclusive early access when you order through the KFC app. Download the app and order now. Show me your ring. Must be KFC. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you can go out and access that new KFC onion ring chicken. I mean, KFC, if you're listening, you should have bring one in the studio. Let me check it out so I'll be able to give a different kind of endorsement. But it's just a one-day offer, so you can go out and get it. And, of course, you can order it on the KFC app. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to us for the last 2 hours or so. You would have heard what my thesis for the day is. We were talking about, well, I should say I was talking about the the accident that took place down south and the death of Aidan Batiste. And I was linking it to, because we don't have all the story, as my fellow umpire was just talking about the backstory. Usually there is a backstory to all of this. What I hear or read in the newspapers is just what people say sometimes, or, the whole story. But from analyzing or trying to analyze the scenarios involved in this, it brought me to parenting. It brought me back to school and PTA. It brought me back to parents' involvement in their children's life in a certain kind of way, proper socialization, and to a large extent, single parenting, and sometimes how you sometimes as a single parent, especially single parent females, mothers, how they sometimes have to rationalize between career and their own personal aspiration and ambitions and the correct, or what we would say, the real-time upbringing of their children. And that, to a large extent, wasn't necessarily a reality before as it is today. Because before, in our time, it was a lot different, where you find that the fathers were out there working and mothers were home doing what we usually remember it to be cooking and cleaning and taking care of the children. And so your mother always home when then you come from school, hot food and that kind of thing. That is not necessarily reality today, and as such, it is what it is. But in those days that I'm speaking about crime in particular, so you could see the nexus to some extent. You could see the correlation, as research scientists, social scientists will call it, this correlation between the two. So because in those days, I remember the crime rates or the murder rate to be like all kind of 11 and 12 and 15 for the year. Today it is 600. So definitely there might be a correlation. If I am to make this a research question, there might be a correlation between parenting and crime, between that uncomfortable moral shift that has taken place in society over the years, and therefore it is something that certainly one would have to ask the question as to whether or not. Let's take this call. Good evening, caller. Yes, Vivian.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Vivian. Thanks for joining us back. But yes, so
you're welcome.
The times when parents were home and taking care of the children in a certain kind of way, it has certainly moved from that. It's either you're working for a lot of money, you could send a child to the best prep school, you have somebody to pick them up after school. If you can't, you might be working somewhere offshore, you're not home or whatever. You have somebody you have a family member, or you have a very high paid nanny to take care of that children until you come until you come home and give them the kind of socialization you will give them. But outside of that, where we don't have the village to raise the child again, we now have, because the village is working too, we now have that uncomfortable reality where we have to rationalize between that and survival.
Yes, I have to agree with you on all the points that you said there. But I think before we closed off, what I was saying is that there's no way, without the government support, that this could be successful.
Right. So and that's the next thing. That's the next thing. Yeah. It have to have some kind of government intervention, because government too have to also see that there is a nexus between what is happening now with parents and the lack of parenting and crime. Right? There is a definite correlation.
All right.
And therefore government has to also understand that. And I don't know where the social services are, to make those kind of suggestions in terms of legislation and that kind of thing. But government, it must be that government is seeing this. And if government is not seeing it, they have to think it through to solve the problem, because you're not going to solve crime with a state of emergency. You're certainly not going to solve it after or before. You haven't been solving it before. And what I'm talking about is in the 80s and that kind of thing, early 80s and that kind of thing with crime, late 70s and that kind of thing. If we could get it to be a tenth of what it used to be then, it would be good.
Very good, yeah.
Right? So
again,
clearly,
I always like to compare New York with 10 million people, and their murder rate might be 100 and something.
Okay, but New York,
so they could do it.
But New York, the reality with women in New York is almost the same. How is it? Yeah. How is it? Then I mean, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But they have a different kind of crime fighting, a different kind of detection. They have probably more opportunities for work. I'm just saying probably, because I didn't do the statistics.
Once crime goes down, you find more people will be out socializing and so forth.
And you have more turnaround in the economy. Huh?
Yeah, of course, yes.
Correct.
So, once crime goes down, you will see how the place will just free up. Shops will be successful, people will be working, but crime on the whole, from white collar to blue collar.
So all of them then, so therefore all of them has some kind of relationship with all those factors,
yeah.
Have a relationship with all those factors. So why is it that the government is blind, or governments are blind, they haven't been seeing that. What is it?
People talk about crime in a way that when it affects us, the African race, is a laugh because they expect that we will die that way. So when you see a bandit, African bandit is killed, and you see the comments on social media, a soul has gone, but
and that too is unfortunate. We become so polarized. We become so polarized. I mean, that's our next thing. I mean, sometimes we don't see how things affect people. Sometimes we don't see. We see colors, we see race, we see all kind of different things, and we're not looking at the right things at all. So
and if they do affect us directly, it's not a problem.
That is it. So and that's the problem. That's what fueling most of the thing. A lot of times you try to understand what fueling this. These are the things that are fueling that. If people believe that, if people start believing that, hey, listen, it doesn't matter. I mean, we are impoverished, or we could never be like them, or we could never reach to that level, or we will never be respected in that kind of way. Then people will be doing things in a way that they feel that if we do it, or if we do it, the result will be the same.
Same thing, yeah.
Because nobody cares, that kind of thing, and that to a large extent might be one of the, or some of the things, just the normal thing in your neighborhood. People seeing things, they get accustomed to seeing certain things. They don't really care if they see a child doing something. Them is not dynamite child. I mean, they might just watch out the window and say, hey, look, you see, that's how them just operate, that kind of thing. Rather than playing a role or taking a stance where if we save that child, we could save our children or our future down the road in terms of crime and that kind of thing. So we had to stop thinking individualistic. And probably...
I remember years ago, I had a little business. Years ago, my son was about 9 years old. And I was not at home. I think he was 9 and my daughter was 13, and they opened up the little business when they came from school, and they were selling. And like Jamal sell this lady, Miss Cheryl, whatever. Miss Cheryl gave her a payment of $100. Jamal gave back the $100 plus the change. So when I came in the afternoon, she came down and gave her the money.
The change for the
came
100?
down and she came. The change was hers, but Jamal gave her back the extra 100. The same 100 she gave to him, he had it back to her along with the change.
Oh, right.
Right? So when I came in the afternoon, she come down and she told me, and she gave me the $100. And I know her as basically a single mother in the area. And she raised her children. Right. I mean, good children.
So she could have easily take that and say that's an extra payday for her.
And it could have been, and maybe if that was the life she lived, maybe the children would have grown up different. But when you see what she did, you know the type of woman she was.
Correct.
And the children are good children. So, the what they say, the seed don't fall far from the tree. Because if it was the next person who was on maybe folly, maybe that would have been how they would have brought up their children. But her example with Bernard 100 was a good example, and you see it bear fruit as the children got bigger.
Yeah, but what is sad is that everybody, you have so many more people that is on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes for some people, and I see that all the time, sometimes for some people, they see doing the wrong thing as survival, right? They see doing the wrong thing as well, everybody doing it, or nothing going to happen, and all those things are we had to bring back society. We had to bring back the kind of norms and that kind of thing in society. And it's not just laws and that kind of thing. It's not just policing. It's not just those things. It's just an understanding and a respect for people, for others, for the people in your environs. I mean, you live in an area. I could talk about how you live. You live in an area with all kind of neighbors and that kind of thing. People from different, walks of life and that kind of thing. But if people could just come together and just clean around with the living together, you wouldn't have no need for CPEP and all that kind of thing if everybody come out and do a little part, do their part, right? Because you ain't gonna have no need, you ain't gonna be complaining and quarreling about the government about CPEP and all that kind of thing. Everybody do their part, clean up. I remember I was a little boy in 1986 when you must have remembered that too. For the most nationalistic, the most. You remember when now won the elections were in 86? You remember what happened? What followed? It had a cleanup campaign, and I don't know if it was symbolic, right?
Right.
But it had a cleanup campaign where people who didn't even vote, came out and cleaned up the country. I don't know if you remember that. I remember that like it was
yesterday. That was a decisive win. Yeah.
But I think we have to start seeing Trinidad and Tobago as that. There's too much of we and them and too much of, we need to see the big picture in Trinidad and Tobago. Because if we don't, we will end up in a place where we and all will be afraid to live.
Madison, the picture is there. There's the picture. There is a picture. And the picture show that the government came into power and got rid of all the CPEP, the reforestation. A lot of the persons who are in dire straits right now, the picture is there.
Correct.
We can imagine a bigger picture, but unless the government, find other ways of employment for those in need.
Because that's the next thing, it might be better to borrow money, to pay people to work, productive work that is, and have the economy revolving than to keep it in a stagnated way with half the people not working, frustrated. A great percentage of them will turn to crime, another percentage will turn to other nefarious activities and that kind of thing, and then people will be suffering, and then you wouldn't have people spending money to shop. You wouldn't have people doing things, you wouldn't be earning taxes and that kind of thing. So I'm just saying that maybe a good thing might be to have 90% of your working population at least working, or 95% of your working population, or people who could work, employable population working.
Yeah.
That way you will always have, your country will always have money.
But you gotta find the industries and the different things to...
Well, invest in it. I mean, that's so much...
You have to invest in it.
I tell people, Vivian, and you are a man that travel and that kind of thing too, you see what's happening. Every single thing that we use here, and twice that, right, is still up for inventions, right? And anything you want to do or create in this world, you could think about it, create it, and go to China. I love China for that. Go to China and get somebody to manufacture it for you. Right? You have the patent on it, they manufacture it for you. They will manufacture it for you in mass. They will mass produce it for you. So the thing is, just imagine you create something that you will need just for $1. And you get that you get that like Elon Musk and the people with iPhone and everything. And you get that and you create that need to consume, that consumption need by everybody in the world. You are automatic billionaire, Automatic,
But you can remember years ago when we used to watch the first set of cable. And it always had these ads. $8.99, $7.99. Something they're producing, and you buy it and they ship it and they put the thing. Always had the ads on those cable.
Yeah.
The chopper, them Chinese chopper.
Yeah. Listen, anything.
Millions here, and the population of America was 250 million at that time. All you wanted was a very small percentage
Yeah.
And you are a millionaire.
But
Very
now,
small percentage.
you imagine you create something. I'm a YouTube, a fan of YouTube. Anything I want to know, I go on YouTube. Anything. Imagine you create something and you are able to sell that. You're able to create for the world. Let me take this call. Good afternoon, caller. Caller?
Yes, good afternoon, Umpire Matheson.
Yes.
Well, apparently you alone officiating.
Yes.
Great topic.
I officiated the match today.
Yeah. You match referee and everything else. To the umpire, everything. Great topic. But you see, we have discussed from day one with your program. We have been discussing dysfunctional families. And you know what I said when I studied? How the women of the 50s and the 60s who didn't have much education grew up children, and the children, there was no big sort of criminal element and thing among the children.
Correct.
Right?
That's because family members, well, apart from the village, family members, either a mother or a father was home.
Well, in most cases, both were home. Right? And on top of that, you had the religious input. You had the parish priest or whoever used to find you. Once you're Roman Catholic, you had to make your first communion and your confirmation. Yeah? Right? So religion, the priest came in the schools, in the public schools, and once had religious instructions, the senior police officer would visit the schools and have discussion with the children. I remember that.
Yeah.
Right? Up to 5th standard. Yeah? So we you see, this a big factor, I keep saying it, is the oil boom kind of damaged the fabric of the society in Trinidad, because everybody overnight became a big shot. And that is why neighbors start not caring about neighbor. We got people looking to see, well, I have more than this one, and there's a competition all the time.
Correct.
Right? And that caused a lot of dysfunction in the society. But people doesn't want to hear these things. Look simply at the common entrance. That caused dysfunctional family, because one family son might pass for a prostate school and the other one might pass for a junior sec. Or even before the junior sec, what they call the
comprehensive
central school. Central schools.
Yeah.
Right? Arima had central San Fernando. There was what they call central schools. That was just before the junior second thing. So that caused dysfunctional, family structures. And then you have what I call the international family. In the 80s, with the structural adjustment program, when one parent went to America and left another parent here.
Correct.
And most times it is the women who went.
So that was the genesis of, to a large extent, of the single parent or the single parent phenomena in Trinidad.
Right. Yeah, we do not watch at all this thing. We never had a structural adjustment program in Trinidad before that time, before 1987, Which is now, you understand, now were the people who went to the IMF and signed up on that structural adjustment loan, and that caused damage. Yeah, but thank God we came at gas after, and the undermining, and that kind of eased up on the situation financially, but the family was already destroyed.
But then we were always suffering from the Dutch disease syndrome. So, and you know all too well what that is. And we certainly did not put aside certain things to take care of. We didn't see all this down the road for whatever reason. So, some people, politicians in particular, they sometimes live in a dream world. Things going good and they tell themselves it will always so they keep spending without understanding, hey, listen, is a infinite resource, So it ain't gonna be there forever.
Well, I always, as a young kid, with the oil boom and then the gas boom, always realized that commentators were talking about the oil, the oil flow will cease, the gas flow will cease. So everybody knew that that commodity or those commodities will come to an end, right, at some time. But again, I just said, nobody prepared for this situation. because we thought our boy Trinidad, God is a Trinidadian, so we wouldn't have to face this kind of thing. And that is what led us into this thing, because it come like you're a man and you're working and you're saving no money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And next thing, when a hardship take place now, you're blaming everybody. But then it's your fault.
Correct.
Yeah. Right? So it's a sad state, because, every day now as I get older now, because I'm soon approaching 70 years.
Serious?
This thing of God.
You sound like a 50-year-old in the program. 70, you say?
Yeah. Well, Sparrow say age is only a number, so I don't know if you're right or you're wrong, but you understand? but the thing is, he's living still, so I cannot lead him towards him that age is really a number, because he is still like Sparrow.
A young lady, that's what it was.
Yeah.
She said age is just a number.
Yeah. So I could still make a contribution, but no opportunity. But anyhow, government pensioners, I want to talk something about these people, because no commentator, nobody not saying anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
Government pensioners who retired from 2014 and 2019, right, which is the period under review in terms of the collective agreement with the 10%. Government pensioners like myself, we got nothing up to now. And now I am not blaming this government for this. I am laying that squarely at the feet of the last government, right? Because we were people who work for this state, and then both of us are 70 plus, or approaching 70. I happen to be just approaching 70. And nobody knows when we will be paid. Our judges, that's money we work for. We produce, we have what they call legitimate expectations in industrial relations.
Correct.
And it is a sad thing to see. I meet pensioners and things, and to hear them, right? And I want to make it clear, this is not old age pensioners, this is government people who work for the state, who got up all kind of hours, who supervise some of the current serving employees in the public service. And some, the regular or the current serving people, officers, they got an advance. Pensioners ain't get nothing, right? And as you get older, in fact, you want medication, your fridge going bad, your stove going bad, your TV going bad, because you will have that for a number of years. You cannot get a loan on attaining 65 years. Like me, so I can't get no loan at all in no bank. Unless I can mortgage my little house at this age. Yeah.
Unless you have somebody else. So, unless you have somebody else on that loan.
well, there is it. And then if you put somebody else on that loan, they ain't short of pay. Yeah. Yeah. So say what? So some kind of preference or preferential value should be paid as far as dealing with government pensioners, right? Because remember, some of us government pensioners, is that to say we are educated people too, Is that to say there are certain people who just know nothing, right? But some didn't make it to the top of the public service, because that's another thing. There's certain envy and jealousy, which goes back to the family structure, right? Trinidad is a very envious and jealous society, right? If a neighbor buy a truck, and you only could buy a foreign user, a problem. Where you playing?
And that was just the discussion just before you call. That's what we was talking about. People just need to understand that, we are kind of individualistic kind of society. We need to, how do you think China and all these places survive and rise in such a quick time? Because everybody understood the need to work together synergistically.
Well, the Chinese agricultural workers, I never read about them. These people work, they're talking about CPEP and URP. These Chinese agricultural work, they work 8 hours on the field. With a little break, a little 20-minute break in the morning, a little 20-minute break.
Because the Chinese understand what is productivity, and they understand what is competitive advantage. They understand how to get there.
Yes. We talking about CPEP, but again,
we talking about money, but we didn't want to work for it. That's the problem in Trinidad.
And then, well, Manin didn't create no CPEP. As I said before, over and over, CPEP came from the Aborigines in Tasmania. When they formed the area was untidy with grass and bush. And the Prime Minister at the time, Kevin Rudd, who was a Labour Prime Minister, he came and they said they wanted the same, and he went.
Correct.
And on the spot, he decided he making this program, and he called it CDEP. So apparently, Martin and them see that somewhere, and somebody, and they call it CPEP here, right? But it was a very temporary project or a program just to clean up the environment.
Exactly, but it was a good template. But the only thing is that they saw it as relief, employment relief, as opposed to productive work.
Yeah, and contract. No, yeah. Yeah. But look in Grenada, right in Grenada here, they have the debushing program. They call it the debushing program. And the workers were whole day cutting grass and thing in Grenada. Yeah. Yeah, well, Keith Mitchell started that program and he called it the debushing. That is, debushing is D-E, I mean, taking up bush. D-E, bush and bush.
Debushing, yeah. I understand the name.
The name, yeah. And I don't hear about all this kind of confusion in Grenada with this devotion program.
Well, we are a society, for whatever reason, I mean, I don't want to say this, I'm saying this guardedly. For whatever reason, we don't see how the end sometimes justifies the means, and why we need to do certain things in a particular kind of way. So, people just want to satisfy certain wants, but they're not considering what that do. So they're not considering productivity, how important that fair day's work for fair day's pay is, right? Because while you're getting money for the society to turn around, for the economy to turn around and that kind of thing, the economy will turn around if they're getting productivity. If you could value your work, and your work could mean something to bring back income to the country.
Of course, because Thomas Woodrow Wilson, and even the IMF says so too, Thomas Woodrow Wilson, he was the 13th president of America, and he was a Democratic president. And he said public works is what will turn around your country.
Of course, and small business. And small business.
Well, he didn't, at the time he didn't involve small business, but now we could add small business.
Yeah.
And he said that is the quickest way to have money revolving in your economy. Right?
Quickest way.
So
because once people earn, they will buy things. Commerce will thrive. People will buy things that they need to eat. They need to live a better life. They need to do all the different things. Businesses will strive and that kind of thing. But people have to be working.
Yeah.
And
of course. Look at the bar situation today. No bars. I live in next to a bar. Hardly any activity because that disposable income, people do not have that. Yeah. So that is how it is. So there's a lot of things, and then you see again, because we'll end with this thing now. We see we never studied living in a plural society with a Westminster system, because we had indentureship, we had slavery, and then the colonial people just wholesale transplanted their type of government into here.
Yes.
Right? And we know, and the academics here up to now never sat down and did
their own rationalization of the system we need in Trinidad and Tobago, given our experience, our antecedents, everything. Right? So it may not necessarily have been a democratic society. It could have been something like Singapore or something like, those kind of thing. But we didn't see that.
Yes. Because what Bonham did in Guyana, when he looked around, he came up with his version of a mixed proportional representation system. And apparently it worked to a point, because the system right now, the proportional representation working in Guyana right now. Yeah. So that is how it is. So thanks for everything. And I know, I tell you, your program as well is a program, should go for 4, 5, 6 hours, because the amount of analysis could develop from your contribution, is a very serious contribution.
It is.
Yeah?
But
most people wouldn't recognize it, because they are customers. And when one caller call, they cannot debunk the next caller and saying this and that, and they talk with no empirical evidence and all this kind of thing.
Correct.
So, you take care, man. Yeah, brother.
Okay,
nice,
take care.
Nice.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, we go talk,
Yeah,
same thing.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about the Let me take this call. Good evening, caller. Caller?
Good evening, Mr. Matteson and to your listeners. Well, I missed the program, but I hear Mr. Lockett talking about CPEP.
You was watching. You was watching. What team you really supporting? And don't tell me it was Portugal.
No. The team I supporting already
gone home.
Get sent home. That is Cape Verde. Because I find the quality of football that they played for a new team in the World Cup was really outstanding.
But I find like that team get thief, boy. I find like that team get wrong. I watched that game. That was a very unfair game.
But so it go, but they really make an impact. And it was really a pleasure and a privilege to watch them in this World Cup. But what I want to point out, Mr. Matteson, on this CPEP issue, because I really know coming on here some of Mr. Lockett's contribution. I want to ask, where in the world does officials make claims, allegations of countless amounts of corruption, be it ghosts in CPEP or what have you? Where in the world does officials make these allegations? And the course of action is to let Peter pay for Paul. So we're not taking nobody to court. We're not sending no information to the police so that the police can look for redress for the nation. We just decide to shut down the whole thing, and Peter must pay for Paul. The thing is that I don't know where our minds is be and what it is be occupied with, because if that is the course of action, then there are many industries or institutions that ought to be treated in the same way where Peter pays for Paul. It cannot be that you are saying you have all this information, right, and there will be no redress. Peter has to pay for Paul. All who was going out and really giving the effort required to earn their salary, there is nothing left for them.
Well,
you have to reapply.
Chris, in reality, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I don't know what I was thinking, so if you just listen to the media. But I would have heard the Honorable Minister, what's her name, Khadija Amin, a few days ago, explain a couple things. And, you know, you're hearing a lot of politics outside there about closer, CPEP and nothing else. But they would have introduced other things. And other people, there were other forms of employment that to some extent they attempted or they are currently rendezvousing with to change the reality and give people real work and that kind of thing. And in fact, with CPEP, if you look at what was happening in CPEP, and the reality is almost 70% of the monies that was being expended on CPEP was going in the pocket of people who don't need it.
And I am not questioning that reality, you know, Mr. Matteson. What I am saying is perpetrators ought to be held accountable for their actions. It's not supposed to be where we are letting people who were not the perpetrators pay for the actions of the people who were actually doing
maybe the crime that or the thievery or the robbery or the whatever that was taking place on it was systemic. The system allowed for it to be illegal. So a man could have 3 and 4 CPEP contract. Nothing was wrong with that. He wasn't committing no crime. The bank was supporting him, whoever was supporting him. And while he making $120,000, it was perfectly legal because it was contract given to him legitimately by the government. Right? Albeit he might have been a supporter of a party or something. But it wasn't something that somebody could get jailed for or something like that. It was just immoral.
Yeah, Mr. Matthew. Yeah, a couple of things there that I must disagree with. You see, based on the allegations that were made surrounding this, it is nothing illegal. It is nothing legal that was taking place when you have people who name is going down for work and not showing up, right? Who not a part of the program, but they name there and somebody else drawing the money on their behalf. These are not legal things. These are things that the country can try to get redress for. But instead of going that course of action, maybe they find it might take too long or it's too much effort. But
or it might have caused a
what
different
we-
kind of problem in society. The people who was doing that, who had 8 and 9 cards and 20 cards for people. So you put on your name for work, right? And how this scheme was, you put on your name for work, you get a card. You give the boss man or the man who running the scheme the card. And when you have access to $300-400 that you didn't really work for, but you have access to just for getting the card. But the man who running the scheme, he have all the cards. So he get any land share the whole thing. And he have plenty cards.
Then he's supposed to be treated within a certain way. It shouldn't be that people who are genuinely showing up for work have to pay the price for the persons who are trying
and
to...
that's the problem. Nobody was genuinely showing up for work. Nobody was showing up for work anyway.
Yes. So how is it that we were seeing work being done by CPEP? Right?
No, well,
You
not.
see other-
No, CPEP is a different thing. That was a different thing. I'm talking about URP. Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. Well, we understand URP really and truly they could afford to scrap that long time because it really, they really wasn't doing anything, right? As I say, it's just an opportunity for people to collect money by whatever means. But I don't really agree because if that is the approach in terms of Peter paying for Paul, it have multiple industries and entities that they can take the same course of action, right, that haven't been taken. But I understand what you're saying, but as I say, I don't believe that that we really take the fairest course of action as it relates to people not supposed to have to pay that penalty of losing the job because other people who in the same job doing all kind of madness. But as I say, I understand the sentiments.
But Chris, you know, one of the things, I mean, a lot of good things has come out as sometimes bad thing, and sometimes the thing you think you might have been thinking as bad might be down the road. You might be saying that was a good thing happened to Trinidad and Tobago, right? And necessity is the mother of all inventions. A lot of those persons who would have lost their jobs, all those permanent people who's working in URP, and then they're working already, most of them. They're working to find work in other places and things, and they get up and they realize, hey, we had to face the reality, we had to go out and do certain things and get the right kind of jobs and real work and that kind of things. Plenty people, right? But what I'm saying is, I understand you, and maybe the government didn't do enough to cater for all the people that would have...
Yeah, of course they didn't do enough because, Mr. Matterson, in that simple radio station, there are multiple shifts, right? So let me say, some people engaging in activities that are prohibited. Is it that the entire station must crash, or are we going to, based on the information that we putting out and say, well, Mr. Matterson and them doing this, that, and the other, is all we have to treat with, right? If for some reason the program itself, right, and not the actions of people, but the program itself needs to be recalled and overhauled and make some tweaks and changes, no problem. But you cannot use the argument of crime and corruption involved and then the prices that everybody has to pay, even the people who are not involved in the crime and corruption.
And I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you 100%. And this is why I'm saying that maybe they needed to put something in place to take care, a safety net, to take care of the people who just need that kind of social buffering, you know, that kind of thing to take care of themselves, because the flip side of that is crime.
Of course, so what they should have done is create something, right, that could bring in the people who are willing to work and do what is required, right, to earn their money, and then they scrap the CPF, URP, whatever have you. Mm-hmm. But you don't displace people in that manner where they are not culpable, because as I say, it have plenty of people who are actually coming out and working. They're glad for the opportunity, given a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. And then they just met with this where other people was doing foolishness, so I had to pay the price for them. That's not fair, because in spite of all the things that these politicians, the allegations they make against each other, we didn't see the government shut down and Peter pay for Paul and nobody in collecting the money, nobody in getting paid. Things still running. So I disagree with the approach.
The government ego shut down. The government ego shut down. Whether it's PNM or UNC or whoever, the government ego shut down because things had just had the country had a run.
I wouldn't agree with that. Right. So I'm saying I wouldn't agree with anybody taking that course of action where, all right, you find a few people doing untoward things and everybody in that category has to pay. I don't find that it's fair at all, but I don't have the power. They do so. Maybe they might consider what we're saying and at the next time that this action has to take place, try to accommodate the people who are really not involved in the untoward activity, other than just placing them in the position that you already placed them in. But
yeah.
I'm listening.
And you're correct. Okay, thank you. Yes, and I'll agree with you, caller, as usual. At the end of the day, I think we need to put more planning and more understanding of the realities of our decisions in place when we going to make these kind of decisions for our country. Because clearly, you can't have a capacity for water in a bottle and put more of it. It will fall out. It will run off. And once it run off, that runoff I'm talking about is crime and all that kind of thing. People need to survive. And if you're changing something, you're changing the status quo, at least you had to put something in place to get more, because what you need in Trinidad and Tobago is real productivity, but people need real work too. So at the end of the day, it has to add up. If you don't do it, if you don't add up in that kind of way, then you will have a problem. And which is why, and I'll agree with the caller, which is why what is happening. You have too many people today just aren't able to survive. But again, there are things that could be done also by some of those people. And I'm seeing KFC calling me here. KFC, let me take KFC call. Caller.
Good afternoon, Marcusson.
Yes.
Sorry for my brother. The wife will not bring my medication there for a minute. So I'm back in my right sense now. Marcusson, I had to laugh for the life very torture, so wicked about Marcusson. But I know here in Mopa now was calling the just study.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wasn't saying no the RAP, especially the RAP. It had real corruption in the RAP, because I know that former talk show host was working at the station. They had about 10, 15 gang.
Yeah, plenty of them.
I know that. When you went to the win election, I see a certain talk show host, no more talk show host speaking out at Rama down by Arangas down Shikoro down there.
Yeah.
I started like she up.
I hear about them. I know some of them personally too. I know some of them personally too. They belong to the same organization.
But I KFC, I buy every corner, you know. I know the corruption, but the CPAP now, them plan them was doing now a fantastic job.
They were. But you see...
Yeah. Carlos, what? They was doing a fantastic job.
What they probably had to create
right now, people missing the CPAP.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean...
all the government should do with the CPAP, they should never scrap it.
But you know, it had about 4 different agencies. Listen to me. Yeah, you had about 4 different agencies designed and trying to do the same thing CPAP was doing, right? You have Ministry of... you have local government, which is the regional corporations. They were designed and they have the manpower and the capacity to some extent to do the same thing CPAP was doing. Then you had Ministry of Works, right? Then you had URP, and then you had CPAP. All of them designed to do the same thing CPAP was doing.
Yeah, URP was doing nothing. URP is just like you go, you get a card.
But I was saying, so all of them
with the party, they give you a car, they give you 3 fortnight until 3 fortnights for them.
All of them was getting millions to do the same thing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The corporations, everybody. So if we could just take that one money and develop one proper program close down all the others, one proper program to take care of the needs of the country in terms of the periphery of the homes and that kind of thing, that you wouldn't come out and
me say that in the close down our program, let's open back program and popcorn full in the pain, you know.
Well, yeah, of course.
But the European now, European government have plus to that. That are the real corruption for donkey. And then people die for that, you know. I used to be collecting checks in this to pay check, and people have to line up by the church, you like dog, you know, for 5 something, you know. You remember them days?
Yeah.
Until now they bring card. You know, for election time, about 2 months before election, they call me and give me 2 European card.
Who call you and give me that? I want to know. I mean, say it, call a name. Who call you and give 2 European card?
But that man who called me and give me that 2 European card, they try to affect. They try to affect them. I used to be working, I used to be working by Mount Toby under European. So they'll give you 3 fortnight and give you a break. So, well, for the university, so they call me out for about 2-3 days and tell me, well, Mr. Williams, well, you're on. When I gone, them telling me I couldn't sign for 1 day alone in the fortnight. So I started costing them, I said, $65 you could make a sign for 1 day. So my foreman tell me, well, you'll come back tomorrow and sign. When I come back tomorrow and sign, they're telling me, you no longer to the compound, look for employment somewhere else. I said, what? Put to my window by the head office down there about 2-3 days ago. When I go down, I meet up a nice woman, the thing in there. I let you know what 2 trends, that thing in there. I looking for employment. You know them done write me up already in red. But all the division already to block me, the wicked PNMs. You know, I'm thinking that either man don't lie down. You know what I do? I wait about 2 days, I see Pass. I was the man in charge of Europe.
Why did that happen?
I say, here going on, either man, I too late try to see about I'm not come down here, I'm working one time, I'm more red tape for me. I make my start to work. But I don't pass on, I deal with the issues now. PNM now they deal with the UNC. They stop all them programs on them. The program going good 9 and 5, they raise the money. But people not getting pay on time. Look, 3 and 4. Like my foreman also have a voice now there for me. He was listening with the coordinator, and the coordinator said nothing yet.
You come back on the program.
No talking getting right now to know going out with money.
KFC, I tell you to call me, send me a text, call me, give him a number, send me a text, call me, and I tell you I'll talk to the good lady for you. Say talk to Shirley. And I want to find out what's going on. Why you not getting paid?
She not telling nobody, boy. She riding a white horse now.
Well, I tell you, I will talk to her. She and I good.
Well, you gotta talk for 1,000 person getting paid and she go on, you know. And much people I work on East Indian people and stuff, and the voter base and do, you know. Not a racial thing.
KFC, why I want to find out?
People have a voice and you know I will come on and talking right now because listening to me and how about talking there.
KFC, what?
Glad about talking. People need the money to make a
KFC, you're just talking, boy. You're just talking. All I want to find out is what did they tell you as to the reason why you're not getting paid? That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I want to find out if you did all the things you were supposed to do to be able to get paid. And then the third thing I want to find out is how long you haven't been paid. And your full name and all that kind of thing. Tell me, send all that in a text to me.
So, if you watch the WhatsApp, you will see everything. My name is William. Just call me Mr. Win. You will see everything.
Hey, listen, I don't want to tell you.
Get paid. Let me give him for 4 fortnight. We get paid for 3 and 4 fortnight. So you're asking me, will I tell you about it? Nobody.
KFC, I don't operate like that. I want to talk to the person. I want to find out exactly what's going on. So I can come and tell the other people on the radio what's happening. Here what to do for me. I'll give you a number on air. 382-4208. 382-4208. Text me with your name, your address, where you're working, and all that. I will talk to the lady. I'll find out exactly.
They put my name in the black book, you know?
No black book, boy. I don't operate like that, boy.
Because when I come out and speak it out, no, you get victimized. Well, tell them Ice KFC. They can't victimize me. I bless right, I fight and get work.
No problem.
And the people with a man and night Muslim get well, but take it out work. Yeah.
You're just talking, boy. You just be talking, boy. You don't listen. Right? All I'm saying, get the information to me on the number that I just sent you, and I will find out exactly what's going on. If it's just you alone or if it's everybody. It says some people get paid. I want to know why you ain't getting paid. Maybe you're not doing something. Maybe you're not signing something.
12 it's 12 person on our team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because say 13 because it's the 4-man, right? And half of the team they ain't get paid. Some get paid and some ain't get paid.
There must be a reason why people get paid. There must be a reason. KFC, there must be a reason why I didn't get paid. It had to have a reason. You can't be working somewhere 3 months and I get paid and you know why I get paid.
Everybody bringing their proper documents. They're bringing their bank statement.
You're on the register.
They say all. Yeah.
So why I get paid? What did they tell you? So you get paid for 3 months and you ain't find out why I get paid?
That's what I'm telling you. I take it to the foot. I went down by the wish part. Down Marva, down the we call office, down the Kent house. Me and my brother went down there in a car down there. And we went down there. We sit down and talk to HR management and they say they were about that and thing in there. And then after we come back out, like when we got a call and they say they can't give out that information yet, it's the coordinator to agree with that information. When I was talking to the coordinator only saying, nothing yet. They're not giving you a good reply why we're not getting paid. They want to say we'll get paid next week, you'll get paid month. They ain't saying nothing.
All right, KFC.
And people who getting paid, I watch people who getting paid, no Mackerson. And my gang, you know.
So KFC, if you get paid...
And me collect a pay yet, you know.
KFC, I'm just saying to you, if you ain't get paid after next week, it's because you didn't send me the information I asked you to send me. Just send me the information. I will find out for you. What's happening?
Next week, I will pay this week, Friday, my birthday. I will send the information on your number. I will send all the information. I will send a whole rap sheet. And I will see all of them get paid.
For 3 months,
and I will see my name on that rap sheet too.
If you get paid for 3 months and you're doing the same thing all the time, you think you'll get paid now? Right, so we lost KFC. But KFC, you know what you're supposed to do. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a very interesting evening this evening. It was a little different. We did not have the full complement of umpires. We had our visiting umpire join us, but this evening we did touch on some very critical issues, and there's always element of crime and criminality and that kind of thing that I feel we have to deal with, because a lot of times we come here and we talk about the police, we talk about corruption in the police service, we talk about corruption, we talk about all kind of different things. But we're not understanding that we also have a part to play in the whole system. And that part, we must understand that we play a significant role. As citizens, we play a significant role in solving the problem or addressing the situation of crime also. And I would have brought you back to the 80s and the 70s when the murder rate wasn't even 100 and that kind of thing, or wasn't even going to 100. And sometimes even before the intervention and things like cocaine and that kind of thing in Trinidad and Tobago. But life has changed in Trinidad and Tobago, and as life changed, we get more developed and everything to a large extent changed. We had more people working, we had family situation, we have more single parents, we have all kind of different situation, and all those things to a large extent would have contributed to the increase in crime. You have less people to socialize their children. The situation has changed significantly in Trinidad and Tobago. And but not just Trinidad and Tobago, it has changed in the world. But the world certainly is not experiencing what we are experiencing. So it's a multifaceted thing. You have more people needing work. You have all kind of different situations. And the government has a role to play, but you also as a citizen has a role to play. Tomorrow we will join you again. Hopefully we'll have a full complement of umpires and we come to the end of the show.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
The presence of oxygen is absolutely the absence of disease. Most chronic diseases that plague us are not happening to us, but is happening within us. We're literally eating ourselves